This session is about the youth, so let's hear the youth in the audience. Speaking of youth too, that was the definition of generation revolution right there. That's amazing music. Another round of applause for Salama. Okay, so when you're 20 years old, you have all the energy in the world, all the ideas in the world, and you think you can take on everything. And we think we're a lot smarter than we are too, which sometimes isn't that great. But it was a crazy idea for a bunch of 20-year-olds to think that they can take down one of the strongest people in the Middle East, and they did it. I'm not going to talk about the 18 days though, because I'm not the best person to tell you about that. We had a great example earlier. And I actually, during the revolution, I was watching the news 24/7 like most of you, on the phone with Egypt and sending videos to Anderson Hoover. Occasionally, we'd go outside and freeze to death. I don't think this is why Mohamad stepped down, but we did our part. This was most of you at work. So here's the main thing I'd like to focus on, is that I came to Canada 15 years ago. I'm someone who would consider myself lived my entire life here, lived the Egyptian life in some years. But the main perception that Egyptians have of people who love the country is one of two things. The first one is the second one is, well, they don't care anymore, they just left, And I resent that. I think there's a third type of person, and there's many of us outside who actually do care, and who actually want to contribute a lot, who are actually trying to contribute a lot. And so what is our role then? What's our role as Egyptians in the West, as a multi-dimensional identity living here in Canada? Some demographics for you. You all know this already. 40% of Egypt is below the poverty line. More than a third of the women are illiterate, almost 40%. The youth unemployment rate is 25%. That's one of the worst numbers in all of Africa. This is for youth 15 to 25 years old. So what could we have done about it then? Well, to be realistic, before, under the Mubarak regime, what happened was that the whole ideology was to suppress any type of positive activity. That means if you were trying to contribute with any type of societal benefit, economic benefit, political benefit, you were basically going to be more likely to, land a spaceship on the moon before you could establish something of good inside Egypt. But this should be changing now. And the important thing is, what happened in January is it gave a lot of hope. And the thing is, now there is going to be this opportunity for contribution, and all of us have to contribute in their area of expertise. So for everyone it'll be different, and there's varying levels also of connection. Some of you may have not even been born in Egypt, some of you may not feel too much connection, and that's fine. What you contribute is up to you. But for those like me, for example, I lived here for most of my life, but my father, for example, he worked very hard. He had to struggle a lot through many things in his journey to come from Egypt to here. And I don't personally think that he came to here so I could just forget about where I came from and live my life and get a great house and drive great cars and forget about where I came from. So if we do care, then here's how I suggest that we contribute. And there's organizations called Without Borders. A lot of you may know, like Engineers Without Borders, Doctors Without Borders, and these basically function on the concept of implementing and channeling expertise from developed areas to more underdeveloped areas. And by no means am I saying this is this sort of, the West coming to save an uneducated Egypt, not at all. I'm more so saying that this is putting hand in hand with the professionals in Egypt, and each of you have to find it on your own to understand what you have to contribute, what your areas of expertise are, and what is needed in Egypt. And so this is the concept of bina' wa tanmiyah. It's not a concept of saving and hierarchy. I want to shy away from saying, institutionalize something that combines all Egyptians abroad, because all we've done since Mubarak has stepped down is بنكون لجان. So مش ناقص نعمل لجنة كمان للمصريين بالخارج. So I'm focusing more so on saying, let's focus individual efforts. So this means, for example, I'll throw up random examples at you. This means our PhDs can start combating the illiteracy problem there. It means our engineers can start working on traffic and the ashwaiyat, what we call ghettos, that exist everywhere in Egypt. This means that if you're someone who works with media and production companies, you could be working to promote tourism somehow. It's up to you to understand what it is that you can contribute and what it is that is needed. And Egyptians abroad are very educated. They have very wide range of skill sets that they can contribute with. For example, the Canada Research Chair he was at UFT, who was the Research Chair of Intelligent Transportation, was actually an Egyptian. So it's kind of ironic because the last thing you want to do is probably put an Egyptian person in charge of traffic, but he was Egyptian here, so that's just one example. And young people, you have a lot of expertise too, you have a lot to give. You don't have to be thinking, well, I don't have my degree, I have to wait till I get my degree. Don't stay away from this victimized mentality at all, and understand that you have a lot to give and you can contribute a lot. And the youth in Egypt have proven this. It's interesting to look at everything that the revolution has given us, all the youth initiatives and all the youth efforts that we've seen have come out of them. The youth in Egypt are basically a gold mine. They are a gold mine of knowledge, they are a gold mine of education, they are a gold mine of energy and ideas. And we have to collaborate with them to start building the new Egypt. This is just very few examples, of what the revolution is giving us. People like Hamza Namida, who came out of nowhere and now is #1 in Egypt overall. Like, for example, Ahmed Ibraheem album records from HMV this past year. Things like Axir Studio, Qabila, Wellsbox, these are all media companies who are now promoting purposeful art. Rami Assam, the singer from Tahrir. Shabab Sitta Ibril. Shabab Sitta Ibril are a group who has been under intense scrutiny for the past year. And it's interesting because these are some of the people who have made the least amount of mistakes since the revolution has started. I actually just saw a campaign for them recently. They were called Ana Ibrili, and what they do is they were going around in tourist areas and meeting with the foreigners who were coming in and showing them the true Egyptian spirit, showing them a welcoming spirit. And they seriously are people who really care about the country, and these people are all people who travel. They understand American culture, they understand international culture, they saw the movies, they know how we dress. They're more so like me and you than actually much of the Egyptian population, which is important to understand when we're talking about collaborating with this generation. So the idea of us in the West, this is examples all from Egyptians. Playmakers is something me and a friend of mine have started, and this is an idea that collaborates the Canadian experience along with contributing as an international citizen. And what we do is we operate here in terms of the mandate of using sport for good. So I didn't have much, I didn't have tons of money to do crazy projects or anything abroad. So what we thought we could do is use sport. I'm a sports guy, so I thought let's use sport to improve quality of life, to help the developing communities here. And this is a dualistic approach of collaborating your ideas to benefit your society and contribute also as an international global citizen. So there's nothing that takes away from your Canadianness by helping others abroad. You give to your society here, and you give to your society, to your second home, as you want to call it, or your first home even, if you want to put it that way. And we do things like this here. We're actually planning on starting this summer an Egyptian chapter where we could use the youth in Egypt to themselves use projects like Sport for Good, and then contribute to the underdeveloped communities inside Egypt. This was in Cairo in the summer before the revolution. Actually, we did our first trip, and this was, I think there was over 100 orphans that we gave soccer balls and soccer jerseys to. It was a great experience for me. And so we'll focus now on the idea of dual citizenship, is that having dual citizenship gives you advantages, and it's a privilege. You have the rights of citizenship to do 2 different countries, and you have 2 different cultures. It has a lot of advantages, but the thing people don't like to focus on too much is that it has also responsibilities that come with it. And you have a responsibility to contribute to Canadian society because what the Canadian society has given you, and you have the responsibility to contribute to the society you came from also. What happens with the problem of forgetting where you came from is it ends in a vicious circle where all the people leave, get educated, prosper, and then leave the afflicted area in complete trauma, and it will never recover or it will never progress in this way. So you have to contribute. And again, like I said, it varies upon levels of how much connection you see towards Egypt, for example. And the thing is, one of my personal dreams is to actually see Egypt one day be what Canada has been for someone like me. I want to see Egypt as a place where African nations can be, just like we came to Canada, can come to a place like Egypt to get educated, to have a better life, and then in turn contribute to the Egyptian society, and the Egyptian economy, and the Egyptian framework, and in turn be able to give back to their communities. Egypt is actually, geographically and historically, it's been a key. It's a key to the region, it's a key to Africa. And the reason actually that there's such an intense war on the progress of Egypt right now is because of this idea. So your role here, your role as an Egyptian in the West. Egyptians in Egypt can develop Egypt by themselves. They don't actually need us to contribute to their society. What we will do is speed up the process. We contribute with expertise that we gained outside. They can build it on their own though. It's just that you would be speeding up the process, and that's why it's important for us to contribute. But how about something that is not easy for them to do? It's the example of image. If we have a problem right now with Arab image or Muslim image in the West, you are right here. You are right here to set that example. That means, especially for the young generation, you mix and mingle with everyone here in the Canadian society, and you have interactions with everyone here, and you have the ability to represent and embody what it means to be Egyptian, what it means to be multi-dimensional Canadian, what it means to be Muslim, what it means to be a Christian Egyptian. And we have to stop the idealistic approach of basically, you know, we're great people and the media just misrepresents us and it'll change because people will get to know us better. This idealistic approach is not at all progressive. It's not going to get us anywhere. You have to define what it means. It's not just somebody else's fault. You have to ask yourself, what are you contributing? What are you giving to your society? What values and principles do you stand for? What value do you have as a human being in this Canadian society? And again, we held one of the most historic revolutions ever in history. And it spoke a lot about our international identity, and we gained a lot of respect from the international community, and that's how you gain respect. Don't be naive and think that policies will change for us, because that would be the idealistic opinion. But understand that foreign forces who are against the progression of Egypt will not just change their policy towards you. You have to earn the respect. You have to earn that respect. And let's actually be clear. We're not going to, say قوات خارجية and whatnot. We're actually, let's name things by name. The United States foreign policy is not going to change for you without you doing anything. You have to embody what Egyptian is. You have to develop the country. You have to contribute to the country, make it an economic power, make it a political power. Understand that you are standing for the same principles and values that the American society stands for. Then you will gain respect. Then you will gain your international identity. Not through victimization mentality of the media just misrepresents us, but through actual your efforts, through your personal efforts and contributions. So finally, I'd like to just end off with something Noam Chomsky said. He found that when he goes and speaks in democratic societies, the first question always in Q&A is, what can I do? And it's interesting, he says, because strangely when he goes to oppressed nations to speak, the first question, or a question that is never asked, is what can I do? What they actually say is, I'm doing this, that, and this is working, this is sort of working, this is not working. And it's sort of ironic because you have all the freedom to do what you want. You can say whatever you want here, you can do whatever you want. No one's going to come and arrest you. And yet the first question still is always, what can I do? What can I do? I'm just, you know, a 15-year-old here in Canada, and then you keep on putting yourself in this circle that never ends. So we'll stop this victimization mentality, and I'm going to leave you off with, so this is the Egypt, of course, we dream of, and I'm actually very optimistic. I am optimistic. I'm cautious, but optimistic. And I think it'll take a lot of time. It's not going to be easy, but I do believe that eventually we will see the Egypt that we all want to see. And I'm going to leave you off with the words of a friend of mine, Ahmed who is a hip-hop artist and a poet, and he wrote one of the most amazing pieces in a song called Ithbat Makanak with Cairo Key. And it speaks of, it was released a year after the revolution, and it speaks of the situation we are now in. And I'll leave you off with his words. He says, مطلوب منك السكوت تكون إنسان بديل، مطلوب تسكت تموت أو تعيش أسير، عايش في قبر سجن بس من جوايا حر، حاضر هتعجب تكفي عني كل الشر، الولاء للماضي أفكار لينا صديقة، كذب كاذب جوايا يأكد الحقيقة، انعكاس تاريخ الزيف في المرايا واضح، توبة تكسر المراية للحقيقة فاضح، مستورين من جوانا لو جسمنا اتكشف، فاللي ينطق الحقيقة بالخيانة اتوصف، انهزامي واتهزم لكن انتصاري واتسرق، الحقيقة فبركوها بحزن على كتاب اتحرق، أنا اللي ماتوا من سنة واللي قاتل ما اتشنق، أنا السطور على الورق، أنا اللي من جوه اتحرق، أنا اللي شعري شبه الموت وهو لسه طالب مدرسة، أنا اللي ثابت مهما قالوا ومهما زودوا الأسد.